Hi, everybody. I'm so honored that you would take the time to listen to our show called Start a Biz. It's a show about helping you do better in life, but helping you gain more wealth in your business. If you're starting a business, own a business, or have had a business for quite a while, you tune into our show every week on KHTS 1220 AM, and I'm going to have the best guest in the country. You know, I've been a public speaker for the last 25 years, and I also had a radio show for over 10 years where I interviewed the best experts on so many business subjects across the country. I'm going to bring them right here into the Santa Clarita Valley and introduce them to you. All right, let's get started on the show we call Start a Biz. All right, you're here. Don't turn that station. You're right here at the right time because this show is about helping you do better in your life. We call it Start a Biz. So if you're starting a business, own a business, want to get into business, maybe even want to sell your company, you come to the right station at the right time. KHTS AM 1220. We're live all across the country. You can listen to our show on hometownstation.com or the best radio app in the country. And I'm not kidding. It's KHTS 1220 AM in the App Store. Also, big shout out to AD. I know you're driving. Jocelyn and her mother's listening. Calvin and Castaic and my buddy Carl. Welcome to the show we call Start a Biz. So I have a very, very special announcement. I have a dear friend that I've been involved with for years. He's now going to be my partner on the show. And I call him the professor. He doesn't want me to call him that, so I'm not going to call him the professor today unless he begs me to call him the professor. But this is an individual that went from, well, how do I want to say it? He went from the depths. I mean, it can't get any worse. Kyle, he served time in federal prison. He had open heart surgery. I mean, this guy has been through it. You talk about somebody who absolutely hit rock bottom and now runs one of the most successful companies in America, now who has been a loving husband and doting father for years. Now he's with the coach. He's also one of the most successful, brightest, kindest, generous friends of mine in the country because, as I called him the other day, he's a mensch. He's somebody that actually cares about you, cares about me. And I have him as my partner on the show because he's smart. He knows how businesses are run. And having somebody like that that's been through everything that he's been through, and you're out there and maybe you've had a bad morning or a bad afternoon and you're whining, stop it, because you come to the right place. We're going to treat this show every week like you're going to a master's class in college. And when you graduate, you have to listen every week, but when you graduate, we promise you, you will do better in your life. We promise you, you will do better in your life. So today we're going to talk about some of the laws of success. We're going to talk about the it factor. But before I get started, let me welcome my partner, Aaron Scott Young. Welcome to Southern California, Aaron. How are you, bud?
Oh, my gosh, Coach. It's good to be with you. And I really hope that you'll call me the professor on the show. Like you know.
You have to beg. You have to beg.
Gilligan, I could be the skipper, but, you know, the professor sounded good, too. No, it's great to be here. It's great to be with you on this new show. And we've worked together. I've been a guest on some of your other programs over the years, but this is a subject that's so near and dear to my heart, and I'm really glad that you and I get to come and play in the same sandbox together and hopefully give, you know, a few little gold nuggets every week that can help somebody as they're trying to grow a business. That's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Absolutely, and we're live today on Thursdays, every Thursday at 1 o'clock. You know, I'm on also 2 o'clock on Tuesdays at KHTS on my other show. And then this show, Start a Biz is on the weekends on KHTS. So our show also will be going nationally very, very soon. The syndicators like us, and hopefully you'll like us today. So today, Aaron, you and I, let's start off the show with something that I've been talking about for a long time, and a cheap plug for my book called The Thinking Room, but I talk about something called the it factor. And I believe in my heart of hearts that if you don't have the it factor, I think it's going to be a tough ride for you to have let me say this, a tough ride to have a winning life financially. You might have a winning life, but if you have the it factor, you attract people, you attract good karma, you attract attract the universe, and you attract people that actually want to help you do better in life. So today I want to figure out how we can help our listeners understand how they can acquire the it factor. So let me start this. Do you think people are born? Were you born with the it factor?
Yeah, I think I was actually, that sounds a little smug to say it, but the truth is that from the time I was a little kid, I was finding myself kind of, taking the lead and getting asked to be involved in things. And even as a little child, I wasn't the last kid picked for basketball, even though I'm a little short guy, But there's sometimes you're born with it. But I think the it factor can be developed, but it comes from a level of confidence. Lauren Bacall, they talked about her being the it girl back in the 40s and early 50s. Lauren Bacall, this actress, amongst a whole, a sky full of starlets in Hollywood, Lauren Bacall had a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a knowingness, a little bit of a kind of an air that she belonged out in front. And I think that's what you're talking about with the it factor. That it's this: how do you step into a room and take over the room?
Well, I think it's complicated. I'm holding up a sign, and we're videoed here. It's too bad you're not in the studio today. He'll be in the studio, but he's not here today. So to me, the it factor means you stand out. You don't have to have a great personality like I have, a super great personality like I have, but
the humble, great personality that I have.
Right. But you have to be able to stand out. Look, when you walk into a room, people feel you, they notice you, they sense you. They want to be around you, and you don't have to have that crazy outgoing personality like I have. You're much more quiet than I am, but you have the it factor. We were talking about Donald Trump. Clearly has the it factor. He's outgoing. He's out there, and then you've got
he's commanding. He's a commanding presence in a room, any room.
Right.
You can't help but notice Donald. Make whatever jokes you want about him. Not want him to be in office or whatever, but the guy has made money, lost it, and it's because people believe that he'll do it again. It's that confidence and the ability to pick yourself up again when you fall.
Well, I like what you said the other day, is that the perception is that if you're rich, people think you know things that they don't know, or they think that you're smarter than everybody else. It's not necessarily true, but there's some truth to it. So then you have the other side of the personality that's also a billionaire, Warren Buffett, right? Quiet, unassuming, everybody's grandfather. And here's a guy that when he speaks, probably even more than Donald Trump, people want to hear what he has to say.
Oh, well, first of all, using the if you're rich, they think you really know analogy, Warren Buffett's much wealthier than Donald Trump. But the thing about Buffett that's so fascinating to me is that instead of trying to seek the spotlight and put his name all over buildings and like Trump does, Trump is just shameless self-promotion. Warren Buffett has all these quiet things, Geico Insurance, and he does these things that are steady, Main Street kind of businesses where you end up with millions and millions and millions of customers. And he buys companies on basic fundamentals, and he does things in a very, he's from Omaha, Nebraska. I mean, he's a
very thoughtful way.
But when he writes, instead of being on TV and trying to get the spotlight, what he does is he writes. And one thing that I think everybody listening ought to just take this, if you're serious about being in business, if you're just bored and you're listening to the radio, then you won't do this anyway. But if you're serious, go get a copy, you can find them online, of Berkshire Hathaway's annual report, and read the message from the chairman at the beginning. It's Warren Buffett.
Nobody's going to read that. Forget it. You're dreaming.
I'll tell you what, I know a ton of people that read it, including me, and it's some of the best information, the most interesting insights into what's going on in the world. It's not over your head. It's written right for people who want to learn stuff. That's what the it factor is about Buffett, is he says stuff that just freaking makes sense.
All right.
And
Well,
he
the
backs
Jelly
it up
Man's,
by-
our producer, the Jelly Man's raising his eyelids here. All right. Our show is brought to you. Have you ever heard of this company? It's called Laughlin USA. Laughlin USA since 1972. And I say you've got to write down their phone number because someday you might just need them. I'm serious. You might just need them. They've been protecting businesses for since 1972. Over 100,000 companies have used Laughlin USA. So if you're going to start a company, you need a partnership, need an LLC. Maybe you're going to start a corporation. Kyle, what would you start? If you were going to start a business, what would you start?
Just off the top of my head?
Yeah, what would you start?
Ice cream shop.
Then you better call Laughlin USA. Here's their number one more time. You're not going to write down their number. Just go to their website, laughlinusa.com. All right, back to Aaron Scott Young. Check him out on aaronscottyoung.com. You're listening to the show we call Start a Biz here in little north, if you're listening outside the state, little north of LA in a beautiful valley called Santa Clarita. All right, so we're talking about the it factor. I'm saying if you don't have, Aaron, how many times have you and I walked into a business and the guy can't even say, welcome to my business, can I help you? Glad you're here, glad to see you, welcome back. I mean, so many people are just boring. They're outright boring, and I don't want to do business with boring people. I'm sorry, but I don't want to do. I look for people who have the it factor.
So the it factor, why don't you just look at it this way? You know, you and I both do a lot of public speaking, right? And I meet people all the time. They say, Aaron, you know, you're speaking all over the place. How do I get into that? I really think I have a message to share. And, you know, my first question is always, have you written a talk? Do you have something you want to actually specifically say? And they usually say no, but if they say yes, I say, how often do you practice it? Here's what I want to know. If I said, get on the stage right now for 90 minutes, could you do it? Most of them, you know, they put their tail between their legs and walk away. Here's what I'll tell you. If you have a real message, and you've prepared yourself. And if you want to be on the stage, fine. If you want to be a great shopkeeper, fine. If you want to be a great, a contractor or ice cream shop owner, whatever it is, you have to know exactly what you're about, and you've got to be prepared. Because if people look at you and they ask a question, they want you to comment, they want you to say something, you know, jump into the conversation. If you appear to have your freaking act together, people will start to defer. They'll start to follow. They'll start to listen. They'll go, that Coach Tunick, that guy's got something good to say.
Well, you got to be interesting. But I'm now preoccupied with opening up an ice cream store with Kyle. Ice cream is like my favorite food. I mean, Kyle, I'm ready to go. Let's dump Aaron, and I'm serious. Where would we open it up?
You guys go, and I'll keep the show going for 20 minutes.
No, I would love to open up an ice cream store. All right, we're talking on a show we call Start a Biz with my partner Aaron Scott Young, aaronscottyoung.com. So we will talk about the it factor as the weeks go along. Today, the underlying theme is the laws of success. Now, the laws of success aren't taught anywhere, Kyle. You went to college. They're not taught. You can't learn the laws of success. You only learn them from guys like Aaron and myself and from the School of Hard Knocks. Now, learning everything from the School of Hard Knocks is not the best way to learn everything. The best way to learn is to find a mentor. Find a Aaron Scott Young who lives up in, can I say where you live, in what state? I don't have to say what city, but he lives up in Washington. He lives in
you
Washington.
can say I live up on a beautiful little farm, little 25 acres in Washington.
Yeah, he's a spoiled brat. He lives on a beautiful ranch in Washington. But find somebody. If there's always experts in every industry. So if you want to get into radio, you're going to find Kyle Jennings. If you want to get into business, you're going to find a guy like me or a guy like Aaron Scott Young. And we've been up to the mountaintop. We know what it looks like. Kyle, you know what it looks like in the radio business. You're better off, seriously, and I know AD's driving, he's on his way to college. AD, you're better off working with Kyle and not going to college. And I know that's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but it's true. That's how I feel. I honestly feel getting the do you feel that way too or no?
Well, let me tell you, Coach, here's what I think about college. I was talking to a lovely senior in high school, young lady. Her dad is a wildly successful entrepreneur, and she's going to be going to USC. She's going to be a Trojan. And
it hurts my feelings.
I asked her, I said, what do you want to study in school? because you know me, I went to 1 year junior college, dropped out. I've been running companies since I was 18 years old. So college was not the route for me. But I asked this young girl, bright, articulate, lovely girl, I said, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm going to take classes on everything that interests me. I said, do you want to get a certain degree? She said, nope, because she said, from my perspective, unless I know I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a specific kind of engineer, she goes, for what I want to do in business, I don't need a specific degree. What I need to learn as many things as I can about as many topics as I can. And I thought, there is somebody who will not have a big trouble paying off her student loans. There's somebody who's they're going to come out of the gate running. They're going to be a winner of the race. But Steve Jobs, in his talk, when he gave that address at Stanford, the only commencement speech he ever gave, one of the things he talked about was people that get on this linear path and they go to college just because they think that's the next thing, and they get a business degree or a elementary education
well,
degree.
That's the reference points. We're not today. We're not one of these days. Well, maybe next week we'll talk about what reference points are. But that's most people's reference points.
Yeah, but he said the reason those people typically are not very successful is because owning a business, being entrepreneurial, is all about finding opportunities, looking for what's missing in the market. How can I fill a need, not get a job, but how do I fill a need? And Steve Jobs talked about the more dots. He said wealth and entrepreneurship is all about connecting dots, and the more dots you have, the more likely you are to be wildly successful. And so, do I think college is bad? No. I think if you don't know what you're doing at 18 and you don't have a drive to do something very specific, go and learn to study and be curious and explore. But if you're looking at a 4-year degree as some kind of a promise of a good paying job and a home in the suburbs and a couple of nice cars in the driveway, I think you're fooling yourself. I know a lot of starving lawyers, starving MBAs, starving dentists, a lot of them. The average doctor, the family practice doctor, average income for a doctor is $170,000 a year. Well, coach, I need to do that every payroll, right?
I know. We're talking to my partner here, Aaron Scott Young. We got 1 minute, so let me say this. We just got done talking about the it factor. We'll probably be talking about all year, here and there. You got to be interesting. Let me just leave you with that thought. You got to be interesting. We're going to come back, and Aaron's going to ask me a question, probably the most common question that any businessman needs to answer. It's a question, I know I'm teasing you, but come on back, because we're going to try to answer this question together. It is probably the biggest question you have every day. If you're listening at your work or at your desk, and you're a little frustrated, I think we have an idea for you. So come on back on the show we call Start a Biz, right here on KHTS AM 1220, and we're live on Thursday.